Hey, Barry, you got a little something on your nose.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. So it's been a few weeks since The Flash has been out, and I feel like if you haven't seen it by now, you probably aren't going to go see it in theaters. You're just going to wait for it to come on streaming, which is very understandable and okay. So since it's been out for a few weeks, I'm going to do my spoiler review of The Flash. Not only is this going to be a spoiler review of the movie, but we're also going to discuss various things as to why this movie did so bad, where they went wrong with it in relation to the comics and the animated stuff, as in the movies and different iterations we've seen of The Flash. As even though this was a story based off Flashpoint, you still do need the main essences of Flashpoint, at least in my opinion.
It was you. You were the one in my house that night. You killed my mother. Why?
If you want to know that, you're gonna have to catch me.
Personally, as a huge Flash fan, I was dying to see certain elements of the Flashpoint Paradox in this movie. Even though this isn't a Flashpoint Paradox movie, it's still Flashpoint. And that in and of itself starts a whole 61 comic line issue. Just based off Flashpoint alone, just what happens in Flashpoint causes that, and causes all these variations of things to happen. So there's certain elements in the Flashpoint that I wish were there, so we'll get into it. There were scenes with various people that were either trimmed, cut, or just straight up projected completely. And I am very, very shocked at some of these things that were supposedly either presented in an idea room, or they were actually filmed and shot and put in the movie, but they cut it out, or they shot it and said, nah, never mind. Have Grant Gustin as the Flash, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, Cesar Romero's Joker, The Rock's Black Adam, Burgess Meredith's Penguin, Marlon Brand as Jor-El. I mean, what in the what? All those people didn't really need to be in it. That's fine. There's certain characters that didn't need to be in this movie, in particularly with Flashpoint, especially the different versions of Wonder Woman. One of the main things about Flashpoint is that Wonder Woman and Aquaman go to war. They literally go to war, at least in the animated movie. In the comics, they go to war. And in the animated movie, they made it so that Wonder Woman in this timeline, the Flashpoint timeline, hooks up with Aquaman, and then Mira sees that, and then Mira attacks Diana one night, and Diana doesn't back down from a fight, and she kills her, and then Aquaman goes to war because Wonder Woman killed his wife, even though he cheated on his wife with Wonder Woman. Yeah, it's all kinds of messed up. And there's that, and then there's Thomas Wayne as Batman, because in the alley, instead of Martha Wayne and Thomas Wayne getting shot and killed, Bruce Wayne gets shot and killed in the Flashpoint timeline. Thomas Wayne beats this man to shit because he killed his son, and just distraught by the sight of her son getting shot and her son dying in her arms, Martha Wayne just goes absolutely psychotic and starts laughing belligerently, and she becomes the Joker. I get it, not everything can be precise and things need to be told a different way, but certain things I feel like should have the main elements of what made it what it is. So Ezra Miller's Flash was interesting. Originally, I had such excitement for the movie. It was so good in my eyes when I saw it the first night, because this is the first Flash standalone movie that we've had ever, and it's awesome. Awesome to see my favorite speedster and favorite DC character on the big screen like that and have his solo movie. So for that essence, I say that the Flash movie was really good. The elements that they brought in there, Michael Keaton being Batman, Sasha Calle being Supergirl, that was just beautiful. And then the cameos that they actually had Gal Gadot in the movie and Ben Affleck as Batman. It's amazing that you see these people in the movie, because when they initially came up, it was like, oh my God, are we actually gonna do this? It just was very disappointing to see the direction that they went with this movie. It didn't really seem that all fleshed out, especially like with Barry losing his tooth and everything. It's just subtle things like, okay, if his tooth healed, if he got his healing powers back, why did his tooth fall out at the end of the movie? You know, it's just I don't understand. Storytelling wise with this movie, it's just we never find out who actually killed his mom. And in the comics, in the animated movies, in everything, Reverse Flash is Flash's arch nemesis, and Reverse Flash is the reason why his mom's dead, and Reverse Flash is the reason why Barry is so hell-bent to release his dad from prison. One of the reasons, along with his dad being completely innocent, but also the man in yellow. He says it, the man in yellow killed my mom.
Hello, Barry. Thawne. I love what you've done with the place.
This is all your fault!
To see that Reverse Flash wasn't even hinted at in this movie was just a big no-no. Like, you have to have Reverse Flash, even if he wasn't a main villain, even if they just showed his face, obviously, you know, in a blur, but like if they showed his face, you know, like, oh, somebody killed his mom and we don't know who it was, and then they allude to like a silhouette, and then you see some man in yellow running up, or you see the blurred face with the red eyes. It would have been just amazing to see Reverse Flash actually be implemented into this movie, and it wasn't. There was no touch on it. So that's another thing, is just a plot hole, I guess, in the movie, is we don't even know who killed his mom in the movie.
It is your destiny to lose to me, Flash. Just as it was your mother's destiny to die that night.
The utilization of certain characters like Patty Spivot and Iris in this movie were kind of out of place for me as well. The way how they portrayed Patty Spivot to be in Flashpoint and everything was just, no, that's not Patty Spivot. Stop. So in the Flash movie that Andy Muschietti directed, Barry finds out that he can time travel, because with that horrid scene with the babies, the CGI babies and the service dog and falling through, showcasing his speed. Yeah, I just don't know why we used babies, but it's all good. Travels back in time to a day before, and then he speaks to Bruce, Ben Affleck's Bruce, and tries to figure out, like, okay, well, if I did that, I could probably travel back in time to anywhere, and I can save them. Bruce tells him the whole butterfly effect, you know, that be careful if you change something, blah, 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 if it could change something in the future. And of course, Barry doesn't listen, and he travels back in time to save his mom. And that's where you have Flashpoint, that everything switches over, and you have Supergirl instead of Superman, and you have Michael Keaton's Batman instead of Ben Affleck's Batman. And this is where I love that Michael Keaton came back to be Batman. That was amazing. He was one of the best parts of the movie. In the animated movie, The Flashpoint Paradox, Barry doesn't even know that he traveled back and saved anybody until the end of the movie. Barry just wakes up one day and everything is different. Like, he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go do this. Hey, I'm gonna go do that. That's funny, because people just don't know what he's talking about, and he doesn't even have his powers at first, which the way how they did it in this movie was a little bit different. You know, Barry meets another version of himself, which was already a big no-no with the time stream and the paradox. He loses his powers by giving himself powers, which I don't understand why we needed to do it that way. It should have just been done like he traveled back in time, he got knocked out or something, and he woke up and didn't even remember that he did it, just like in the animated movie and just like in the comics. And then over time, he realizes his memories are changing. All these things are happening to him because he finds Batman in the animated movie. He finds Batman, and Batman beats him to shit at first because he found his lair, but he starts speaking to him. And that really just goes to show that Flash and Batman transcend multiple timelines and universes, and they are just connected. Flash has high respect for Batman, and Batman has high respect for Flash in every timeline. Almost every timeline, except for the Red Death one, where Batman kills Flash and steals his powers, and yeah, it's like Flash Batman. That's awesome. And I know I'm referencing a lot of the Flashpoint Paradox and the comics in relation to this movie, but it's just because I'm such a huge Flash fan. Would have just loved to see more elements of the actual Flashpoint storyline, especially revolving around Reverse Flash. He comes into play later on in the Flashpoint Paradox movie, and he showcases that, yo, Barry, I didn't do this, you did.
Barry, that's the beauty of all this. I didn't do any of it. You did.
Think about something that you did. And then he remembers, I saved someone. I went back in time and I saved her.
Think, Barry. Isn't there some little thing, some little good deed you might have done?
I saved someone.
Yes. I saved her. I saved Mom.
Eobard Thawne was like manipulating the Speed Force, keeping him there, and to just not have the impact of that level of villainy and threatening nature and just storytelling in the Flash movie was just very disappointing to see. There was no Thomas Wayne, no Wonder Woman and Aquaman war. There was no opposing sides like Deathstroke working with Lex Luthor against Aquaman. You know, it's just nuts. The whole Flashpoint storyline is nuts. People teaming up with certain people and all these other people that are involved with each other, like Cyborg was a big part of the Flashpoint Paradox as well. Again, I know that this movie is based off, you know, a story based off Flashpoint. I get that. I said it numerous times throughout this video. I just wish that they would have incorporated a lot of Flashpoint elements. It would have done a lot better for the movie, because this movie's been tanking for the past few weeks. It's to the point where they're doing like 2-for-1s on the movie. I've never even heard of that. That's crazy. Also, just the fact that Ezra Miller is the face of the Flash franchise right now, and unfortunately they made a bad name for themselves when they did all the crap that they did. I'm not going to get into this video, but people had time to sit on that too. So the longer that this movie took to come out, the longer that people hated them because of everything that's going on, and they think that they don't deserve to be the Flash. And I kind of agree that Grant Gustin deserves to be the Flash. 100% he deserves to be the Flash in the movies. I still had a good time watching the movie overall. Would I go see it again in theaters? Yes, absolutely. Am I gonna watch it again when it comes on digital? Of course. It's the Flash in a movie, and it's a high budget movie. Of course I'm gonna watch it. The reason why it's been tanking and doing so terrible the past few weeks that it's been out is because they really just kind of shit the bed when it came to certain elements of that movie. I guarantee if they had more of the true nature Flashpoint elements in that movie, it wouldn't have done as bad. And maybe if somebody else was the Flash, if another actor was the Flash, it wouldn't have done as bad. But unfortunately, you left out one of the biggest parts of the Flash's story, which is Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash and Flash. You cannot tell a Flash story without Reverse Flash. It's not gonna work well, especially if he is at the core of the story. The main reason Barry went back in time was to stop the Man in Yellow, aka Reverse Flash, from killing his mom. It was nowhere to be found in the movie. Nothing, no hint. They brought in Savitar, which, okay, alternate version of Barry, time remnant of Barry. Okay, that's cool. It's a great villain. One of my favorite villains too, to be honest. But not for this movie. Not for this movie. And then the other Barry, him being so goofy and cartoony to kind of showcase that when Barry was younger, he was that, you know, that's how people see him, I guess. No, not really. I don't really like that because it just didn't really sit well with the movie. It felt like it was forced to be in the movie because of how Ezra Miller has been outside of the movie and his actions outside of the movie. As I was saying earlier, Batman and Flash have great relationships. Batman and Flash interact, and Batman's like, "You do tight, efficient work, Flash." I'm very impressed, you know? And there's such a great relationship between Batman and Flash across timelines and across comic books.
Oh yeah, and that's Batman.
Batman's real?
Yeah, he's over there.
It is a real honor to meet you, sir. Batman. Sir Batman, sir.
Don't bother. The guy's a total tool.
I followed your efforts in Central City, Flash. You do tight, efficient work.
I love that they incorporated that into this movie with Michael Keaton's Batman. I know this is a little bit of a long video, guys. Sorry, whenever I'm talking about The Flash or anything DC, I ramble because I'm very passionate about this stuff. I love DC content. I have high anticipation for anything that DC releases. And even though people crap on DC all day long and say, oh, it's going to be trash, I'm always excited because you never know. DC could surprise you. And they do sometimes, but it's just they do things like this sometimes as well, or most of the time. And supposedly like this restarts everything, but then how does it restart everything when we get George Clooney's Batman at the end instead of Michael Keaton's Batman or even Robert Pattinson's Batman, even though Robert Pattinson's Batman is in Elseworlds. So, okay, whatever. We couldn't have gotten Michael Keaton's Batman and Sasha Calle's Supergirl, and he's like, oh, so you're here now. Well, damn, this is very complicated. Everything just doesn't really make much sense, and the flow of things kind of just went a certain way that I wish that they would have just done it a little better. Maybe just reshot a lot of different things. I mean, the things that they supposedly brought to the table or even shot, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the Grant Gustin appearing as the Flash was maybe more of a conversation more than him shooting stuff. Because if he actually shot stuff, we'd see pictures. Somebody would have leaked pictures about it. So I think that was maybe more of a conversation, and it just got rejected, which I don't understand how you would reject that. But maybe if he personally rejected it, that makes sense. Not even have Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. Maybe that would have been the alternate Wonder Woman, the one that slept with Aquaman and then went to war with him, killed Queen Mira, and raised an army of Amazonians and just murked everybody that came in their territory. That would have been awesome. Or just an alternate version of Gal Gadot. Hey, whatever. That would have been awesome. We didn't get that. We didn't get the true Flash movie that I think we really were waiting for and deserved. That's what I got for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you stuck through it, I really appreciate it. Over time, I'm going to be releasing more videos about DC related content because I was starting the Arrowverse years ago, and then I finally decided to just hold off because like all of it's getting canceled or it's ending, and now it's officially over. So now that it's officially over and The Flash has been out for weeks and it's been doing so terribly, I'll be doing some videos on all this stuff, so stay tuned for that. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it so you can get a notification anytime there's a new video. Thanks again for stopping by, guys. Until the next one.